Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of the European Football Roundup. And I've been away last week, I've been very busy with university work, so I do apologise for some of the delays on the episodes. It's been pretty hectic a couple of weeks, got a lot of assignments coming up, so yeah, if there is any inconsistencies in the series you will know the reason why now, but we're back into it, so let's get straight into this weekend's action. Okay, starting off as we always do with La Liga. And we're going to be talking about the top four. Of course, top of the table at the moment, still leading the race, is Atletico Madrid. And they won this weekend against Villarreal. Really nice performance. An own goal by Pedraza to open the scoring. And then Siqueira with a goal in the 69th minute. No pun intended there. To give them the 2-0 win. Now, it's another clean sheet for Atleti, who are still going strong this season. No goal for Luis Suarez, but it's a good way to bounce back after their disappointing Champions League run out last time against Chelsea. Should give them some confidence going into the next round of fixtures, and hopefully they can actually sort of improve on the performance they had before, because they really struggled in the Chelsea game to create anything of worth, but in this game they did look better, and if they are going to close out their La Liga win, then they do need to make sure that that attacking prowess stays up. They've got players that are in form at the moment. I think Marcos Llorente, Suarez have been very instrumental in their good play so far this season, and of course their defence as well, with Jimenez in there, has been huge. So plenty of good things for Atletico Madrid from this game, and of course it does mean that they keep their lead at the top and with a game in hand over their opponents around them. Of course they have one game over Barcelona and Real Madrid, and they're 5 points ahead of both of those sides. So it's definitely a good start for Atleti, and certainly hopes to continue their momentum, because they've been in some patchy form, and this is a very welcome win for them. Speaking of the chasing pack, Barcelona and Real Madrid, of course, both on 53 points, but it was Real Madrid who dropped points this weekend. Barcelona catching up to them again, and they got a pretty decent 2-0 win against Sevilla. Really important result for them. Sevilla have been very impressive this season, particularly in recent months. They went 7 games without conceding, I think, up until the Dortmund game in the Champions League. Really good going forward. But Barcelona shut them out, and goals from Dembele and Messi sealed the win. Ousmane Dembele, a player that has cost them a lot of money and hasn't really done it for Barcelona yet. He's had shown it in glimpses, and a goal for him, really important for him. He's had a hit and miss season again this year, but hopefully it gives him a platform to kick off on. And Messi, of course, plenty of controversy surrounding him and Barcelona at the moment. Of course, their president, Josep Bartomeu, has been arrested by the police in Barcelona, so still plenty of controversy going around the club. But Messi doing what Messi does best, continues to score goals, doesn't get involved in the media, and Barcelona have a lot to thank him for. If he does go this season, they will miss him, and I certainly think that it'll be a huge loss for the team, but a massive 3 points to keep them very much in the title race. And to be honest, if they win the title after everything that's gone on this season, I think huge credit has to go to Ronald Koeman. But having said that, their Champions League campaign is still at the moment in tatters, and that is really what matters to Barcelona fans. So it's another one of those seasons where they could win the league if Atleti drop points again, but they really want that Champions League. Well, Real Madrid, they played out a pretty disappointing game against Real Sociedad. Vinicius Jr. had to rescue them in the last minute of the game to get a 1-1 draw. Sociedad were impressive in this one. For a team that hasn't really been on the pace of things for the past few months, they started off very well, they've dropped off, and they've sort of come back slightly, I guess you could say. Well, I say slightly, they have picked up their form. 3 wins in their last 5, 2 draws, and they're now on 42 points and only 6 points off Sevilla. They do have a game over Sevilla though, so if Sevilla win that, they'll still be 9 points ahead. But it's a much better turnout than what they had previously, and they're getting back towards the form that they had at the start of the season. Alexander Isak is a big part of that, Porto as well. Some very good players in that team. David Silva, really good players. And If they can maybe keep up the momentum after a disappointing exit to Manchester United, I think now with no European competition to sort of take their mind off things, I think that they will do well in this latter stage of the season. Right, let's move on to Serie A, and we'll start off with top of the table Inter Milan, who made big headlines over the weekend for their 3-0 win over Genoa. Now, the result itself wasn't the reason for the headline. The actual reason was the players that scored, which was pretty interesting. We had Romelu Lukaku, who opened up the scoring in less than a minute, and then Matteo Darmian and Alexis Sanchez scoring in the 69th, again another 69th minute goal, and a 77th minute goal as well. Of course, the big story was 3 former Manchester United players. Of course, there is a little ex-Man United contingent going on there, Ashley Young being the other one of those. Really, really funny to see all 3 of those get on the score sheet in the same game. Just goes to show that maybe Man United didn't get the best of them out of them. Of course, Alexis Sanchez was poor, and so was Darmian, so you can understand why they got rid of him. But it was just really fun to see all 3 of them get on the score sheet. Romelu Lukaku, yet again though, has been absolutely phenomenal for Inter Milan, and they stay top of the league despite AC Milan getting a win. They're 4 points ahead now. They're on a really, really good winning streak. Conte looks to have got this team playing. They've stopped conceding as many goals. They're scoring more now. They're the top scorers in the league. They've got the second best defence in the league alongside Juventus, who are in third. So things are going very, very well for Inter Milan at the moment. And if they can capitalise on this form, then they can very easily do well in their European competitions as well. Okay, on to AC Milan, a team that really has struggled the past couple of games. They lost 2 in a row, they needed to get back on track, and they did exactly that. They got a 2-1 win over Roma as well, another big result, another top 4 clash and another big win for AC Milan. And to be honest, Roma, I know that they said they could push for the title race, but they didn't have the same strength team as the other teams around them. I think that has shown because they've played Juventus and they lost, and they played AC Milan and they lost, and I think that does take them out of that title race that they were kind of in, but not really. And I think the battle now for them is really top 4. Kessié and Rebic getting the goals for AC Milan. Rebic, of course, has been superb, as has Kessié in midfield. But Rebic, a real standout player who has sort of burst up a level this season and has got himself in the goals. No goal for Ibrahimovic this weekend. He seems to have lost a little bit of form since he's bust up with Lukaku. So I don't know whether, Lukaku was maybe got in his head a little bit. Very interesting. But AC Milan back on track, which is what we want to see. We want to see an exciting title race, and it certainly proves to be that this season. Now, Juventus, they themselves had to rely on Ronaldo to bail them out yet again. They drew 1-1 with Hellas Verona. Another decent result for Verona, who are having a decent season this time around. Juventus, though, another drop of points. Very, very disappointing for them. They're still miles off the title pace, 10 points behind Inter Milan now. It's the furthest I think they've been off in a couple of seasons, really, to fighting for the title. Inconsistencies again, lack of goals. It's been the real issue for them. In the entire top 6, they are the lowest goal scorers. Only AC Milan are in second with 47. You've got Roma and Napoli on 48, 49. But when you're looking at the title contenders, Inter Milan, 60 goals. Juventus have scored 15 less. If they want to transition into this style of play, they can't keep relying on Ronaldo for goals. They have to get goal scorers from elsewhere, like Inter Milan of having 3 different goal scorers in one game. This is what Juventus need. At the moment, they don't quite have that. I think if they invest a little bit more on the wings in the summer, and potentially a box-to-box or a goal-scoring midfielder, I think that they will improve massively under Pirlo. But at the moment, they just seem a little short to fight for the title this year. But it's a tough one because they can still drop out the top 4. They're not a given for top 4. Atalanta on 46, Roma on 44, Napoli on 43. It's very close. It's a very, very close run thing. Not so much for the title, but top 4 certainly. Speaking of the final team in the top 4, as Roma drop out, Atalanta drop back in with a 2-0 win. They beat Sampdoria this time around. Malinovsky and who else got the other goal? I can't quite remember. But a fantastic, solid win again for Gasparini's side. A team that have lost their way of sorts a bit this season. I think that they've been through a bit of a rough patch. They've started to recover now. Undefeated in their last 4. 3 wins in that run as well. 55 goals, the second top goal scorers in the league, as you would expect for a team of their quality. It doesn't look like the loss of Papu Gomez is affecting them as much. He was a player who did want to leave. They do look like they can really make another solid push for top 4, which the fact that they were even disappointed with the potential of not finishing top 4 this season shows how much they've come, how far they've come as a club. And they're playing some lovely stuff at the moment. Disappointing result in the Champions League. They did well to hold out against Real Madrid for the amount of time that they did. You never know. Can they turn it around in the second leg? It would be a huge result for them if they did. But it was a very damaging first leg defeat. But plenty of promise in the league. And do you know what? They're a fun side to watch. What else could you ask for? Now, we've already spoke about Roma, so we will get into Napoli, who beat Benevento by 2-0, despite the sending off of Kalidou Koulibaly, the absolute monster of a centre-back, superb player. Mertens and Politano getting the goals for Napoli in this one. Another solid win for them. They continue their win-loss form of this season. It is unbelievable, honestly. It's such a weird form for them. They've literally, for most of the season, they've gone win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. If you look at their last run of games, you'll see that it's been the case for quite some time. They've only drawn one match. They've won 14 and lost 8. So the question for them is, what is going on? Why can't they find that consistency? Because if you actually look at what they're doing, they're not conceding too many goals. Maybe you could say goal scoring is an issue for them, but they've scored more than Juventus this season. They've scored more than AC Milan, and they've actually conceded less than AC Milan. They've got a much better goal difference than AC Milan. It just seems that they can't always scrap this run of results that they need, and if they were to just get a bit more consistency, they really could knock on the door and knock Atalanta, Roma, Juventus out of that top 4 race. They're very much a side that just with a little bit of a burst could shoot up the table and really solidify themselves in that top 4 push. And I think that's what Gattuso needs, is that final push. Because at the moment, I can't see them doing it. Okay, onto the Bundesliga now. And it's been a very, very interesting couple of match weeks for the German division. All of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, we have a title race on our hands. 2 points in it now. Bayern drawing and losing in succession. Leipzig in fantastic form. They've won their past 5 games. That means that they've now closed the gap to 2 points. 2 points. Really, really promising stuff. And they had to really fight to claw it back today. And I will start with the Leipzig game because it was superb. Mönchengladbach 2 goals up. And Leipzig coming back with 3 goals. Alexander Sorloth, the former Crystal Palace player, fantastic at Trabzonspor, not brilliant again, but, and to be honest, not brilliant for Leipzig, but a huge, huge goal in the last minute of added time to get them all 3 points. It's a huge win. They did the same thing last season, 2-0 down, they drew 2-2. This time they went one better and won 3-2. Bayern Munich, they won 5-1 against Köln, but typical Bayern Munich performance, a brace for Robert Lewandowski, even Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting getting on the scoreline as well. Sort of tells you the sort of day that Köln had at the office. But a really, really impressive win for Leipzig. And it's one of those where they finally look like they can grind out results. Last season, I think they would have drawn that, and they did draw that, or they would have lost it. This season, it looks like they're starting to be able to turn draws into wins, and that's a huge, huge thing for them. Only 5 draws from 23 this year is such a big improvement on last time. And if they can go and have a strong final end to the season, I genuinely think they have a very good shot of winning the league at long last. Julian Nagelsmann has done a really good job there. He's turned them into a real force. Disappointing in Europe, I think, this season. But 15 wins is really, really impressive. Only one off Bayern. We saw last season that they really fell off towards the latter end of the campaign. We're still not quite in that stretch yet. I think once we get past 25, 26 games, that's when we can start to look at it. But I definitely think that this is a great chance for Leipzig to win the league. Bayern Munich have at times looked weak this season. That 32 goals conceded is not convincing. Yes, they've scored 67. They have the firepower to concede goals, to be honest. So it doesn't really matter. Leipzig have only conceded 20. That's only bettered by Wolfsburg this season. So it could be a very, very interesting title race. I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of Wolfsburg, they had another win. Another team in good form. I'd say the top 4 have been in superb form. up until I think Frankfurt. They lost their last game. But I'm really, really impressed with some of the performances. Wolfsburg, they beat Hertha Berlin by 2-0, despite being a man down. Although, having said that, Pongracic, right? Am I right? I don't know. He got sent off in the last minute, so it wasn't too bad. But a Klutner own goal gave them the lead, and then Maxence Lacroix scored in the last minute to get the 3 points for them. Hertha Berlin have had a little bit of a rough season this time out, and yeah, not fantastic for them. But Wolfsburg, they continue their superb form, unbeaten in their last 5. 4 of those are wins. Definitely very impressive. Weghorst not on the score sheet today, but certainly looking good. Now, probably the shock of the weekend was Werder Bremen getting their 2-1 win over Eintracht Frankfurt. Andre Silva getting the opening goal on 9 minutes. Yet again, superb for him. 18 goals now, I think, this season in the Bundesliga. No, 19. Yeah, 19 goals in the Bundesliga. And from there, it looked like Frankfurt would get another routine win. But credit to Werder Bremen. They really sort of fought back in this one. Selassie with an equaliser in the 47th minute, and then Josh Sargent in the 62nd minute, getting the side the win, the American, on the score sheet for quite a rare goal really. He hasn't been massively in the goals this season, but it's a really, really important win for Werder Bremen. For them, again, it's been another struggle for them, but it's been less of a struggle than last season, let's be honest. They're very much sort of a lower end side, but they're definitely not scrapping against relegation. They look dead set to go down last year. This season they look a lot more solid, but unspectacular. So it's a really disappointing defeat for Frankfurt, because they lose a little bit of ground, not too much. They're still only 3 points behind Wolfsburg. If they had won, of course, they would be level on points. But I mean, they're not really in the title race, I guess. They're 10 points off Bayern Munich. Wolfsburg are only 7 points, so maybe you could make a case for them, but I think it'll probably be out of Leipzig and Bayern by the end of the season. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Frankfurt can maybe push for it, or Wolfsburg can push for it. I doubt it, but you know, they need to at least solidify top 4 ahead of Dortmund and Leverkusen. Speaking of Dortmund, they got a 3-0 win over Arminia Bielefeld, and well, a pretty solid win, to be honest. Jadon Sancho and Mahmoud Dahoud getting on the score sheet yet again. For a player that doesn't score many goals, Dahoud is certainly picked up a little bit of goal scoring form, and Reina as well getting on the score sheet. For any of you Ultimate Team players out there getting his Foot Stars card, of course, he did get on the score sheet. A rare goal for him as well. He hasn't really been performing too well this season, but Dortmund really performed well in this one. 20 shots to 8, 9 of those on target, so you could say they're a bit wasteful, but they're creating chances, and they look to have sort of tightened up a little bit at the back. Not massively, but enough to make a difference. They're on 39 now, and they're only 2 points behind Frankfurt. Their patchy form seems to have taken an upturn. They've won 3 of their last 5 now. Seems to be conceding less goals. I mean, they've actually, to be honest, we talk about Dortmund's defence and how poor and how weak it is, but they've conceded less goals. Granted, only 1 less, but they've conceded less goals than Bayern Munich. I think for me, it's just the goal scoring and losing points from winning positions. Sometimes they tend to do, but to be fair, they've been good recently. And I think Sancho and Haaland have been instrumental to that, both of them in superb form. Sancho in particular has really picked it up since the turn of the year. So it looks like they could really be making a push. Right, that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the content on WDSportz. Plenty of sporting talk and sporting action being reported on this week. So we hope you enjoy the videos that we're putting out at the moment. If you do, subscribe, make sure to hit that notification bell. I know that a lot of you who watch our videos aren't subscribed, so make sure to do it. We're bringing out a lot of content, and personally, I've been really impressed with what we've put out so far. So yeah, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, enjoy the videos we're putting out, and I hope to see you in the next one.